Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
This isn't a Hallmark movie. Sally Fields doesn't star in this film. This is Left Tackle.
And Brandan Schultz.
I believe, based on everything that I've seen from Bleacher Report in the past, that this is Jason Cole's fault.
Go Hawks!
This is episode 154 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
How are you on this fine, beautiful, spring, sunny day, Mr. Schultz?
It's a beautiful day.
It is. It is a beautiful day. And one of the reasons it's a beautiful day is that we get to welcome 11 new dudes to the Seattle Seahawks, at least for a little while.
You know, Adam, this is really one of my favorite days of the year for podcast days, because this is when you truly get to hear how much football means to some of these guys and how emotional they get when they get the call from the team. You know, we're going to go through, we're going to talk about these 11 players that the Seahawks picked up. I have the draft calls that the Seahawks put out through their social media channels. If you haven't heard them, you know, we're gonna listen to those calls. We're gonna talk about these players. It's a big show, and Adam, let's get right into it, because as you mentioned, 11 guys to talk about. This is going to be a full show.
It's going to be a really full show because it was an interesting draft for the Seahawks. I think if you were to ask me straight up, my overall view of it, I would file this entire draft under the category of things that make you go, I think that's where I put it. I am very much of a mixed mind regarding this draft. I can see things kind of through two different lenses on this, and it's the most perplexing draft I have seen the Seahawks perform under this iteration. I'm confused.
We're going to get to that. I'm sure there's other people out there that are equally confused, or maybe some frustration. To me, the biggest story, though, of this draft, and a surprising part of it to me, just, you know, draft wide, watching so many offensive players come off the board early when it was such a defensive heavy draft. And so that was part of the reason why a lot of these players that maybe necessarily you wouldn't have expected to fall to the Seahawks at their 26th pick to be around at that time. So it made sense for the Seahawks to trade out of that 26 pick, move back to 31, something that had actually been rumored that the Seahawks and Falcons had been talking about trading. They trade down to 31, still lots of dudes left on the board. And then at the end of the night, they trade out of that pick with San Francisco, and they go back to the beginning of day two. So kind of a letdown for any Seahawks fans
and
watching.
Then they trade out of that pick and then with Jacksonville.
Right. But like the Bears, you know, swapping picks with the San Francisco 49ers, that's essentially what Jacksonville did. They moved up one spot, and the Seahawks moved back one, and likely got the guy they were going to get anyway. But the thing that I really want to talk about, the biggest story of the draft with regard to the Seahawks, to me, we've talked about how they've never before drafted a corner higher than round 4. They've only drafted 2 defensive backs total in the first 4 rounds. You know, Walter Thurmond and Earl Thomas. Those are the 2 guys. And in one draft, they've now surpassed that number. They drafted 3 defensive backs in the first 4 rounds. Shaquille Griffin, Delano Hill in round 3, and then Tedric Thompson in round 4. Was it surprising for you at all to see the Seahawks go so defensive back heavy right around that sweet spot in the draft where they had accumulated so many picks?
This is the exact part that makes me go, because when I look at this draft in one way, I think about our biggest needs going into this draft were offensive line, defensive line, and defensive backs, whether that's safeties or corners. And they absolutely addressed every one of those positions. The thing that really is odd to me is they did it in the reverse order in which I would have done it. So they spent a lot of those earlier picks on DBs rather than loading up on offensive linemen. Then, and again, we selected 2 offensive linemen and 4 DBs. I would have flip-flopped that number. Let's look at the track record of Pete Carroll and John Schneider when it comes to player development. When it comes to player development, they have proven that they can take defensive backs from anywhere in the draft. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Round 5, round 6.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Undraft, whatever. And turn them into guys who can play. What they have proven is that when it comes to offensive line, they can't develop 5th, 6th, 7th round undrafted guys into starting caliber NFL players. They can't do it. They haven't done it yet. And they've drafted more offensive linemen than anybody else since what, like 2010 or something like that?
Yeah. 15 offensive linemen since 2010.
So I feel like knowing that my strengths are developing defensive backs and my weaknesses are not being able to develop offensive linemen very well, I would want to get guys towards the front of the draft as far as offensive linemen goes that are more polished, understand how to play, and maybe draft them to play the position that they played, and then take your risks with the defensive backs later in the draft, guys you know you can develop, and have them switch positions from safety to corner or nickel to outside or whatever, because you're good at that.
I can see where there would be some frustration with that. But in terms of the entire strategy, as you look at it, I can see why they would want to take a guy on defensive line early, a guy with skills in pass rushing. We've talked about it over the years, how finding guys who are interior defenders who can rush the passer are some of the hardest guys to find. I've out of all the Seahawks Hall of Famers, I would love to put Cortez Kennedy on this defensive line and seeing what the defensive line could do with that type of interior pressure of a Hall of Famer like Cortez Kennedy. So those guys, unless you're in the top 10, I mean, guys like Aaron Donald, guys like Gerald McCoy, guys like that just don't fall that far. And so it made sense to me, if they think that they've found a guy who can be an interior disruptor, then taking that guy with your first pick, that makes sense to me. Now, you miss out on taking offensive line early. There were guys, Ryan Ramczyk was there. Cam Robinson was still on the board. So it's a little bit frustrating to see that go by. Now, the other alternative, which I think a lot of other Seahawks fans maybe had their hearts set on, drafting a corner early. And like you mentioned, that there's some, when you've seen them do so well with late round guys, yeah, maybe it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But Kevin King, in particular, he was there for 2 of those 3 attempts at drafting. You know, he was there at 26. He was there at 31. Green Bay takes him right ahead of Seattle before they trade out of that pick. And I think there was a lot of frustration among fans who, with all the talk about Richard Sherman over the past few weeks, having a guy that you feel is, just ready to start opposite Richard Sherman and can be, that physical type player that Seahawks fans like at corner. He was there, and yet you pass on him. But then the Seahawks did bounce back and they did go offensive line with their second pick. So, with the first 2 picks for me, I could understand why you would look at those particular positions. But as you mentioned, the one guy that they did pick at that was maybe the best player at his position in college, that position was center, and the Seahawks don't need a center because they have Justin Britt, and he's done very well, and they go out and get Ethan Pocic of LSU. So, yeah, I can see where you might be a little bit confused, but again, Pocic was announced as a tackle by Jacob Green when he came to the stand, so that could be a little bit confusing too.
So, like I said, going into this, I'm a little bit of 2 minds about this draft, and when you said you understand why they would pick defensive line with their first pick, and a guy with the kind of talent that Malik McDowell has, and we'll get more into him and Pocic and all the guys specifically here in just a minute. But when I look at the way the season ended because of the play in the trenches, in not just offensive line, but defensive line too.
Yeah.
We couldn't create any interior pass rush and really get home to knock Matt Ryan off of his spot. And once that happened, then it was, curtains. You're not going to be able to cover all those guys for that long. So yeah, the idea of drafting a defensive lineman with your first pick, like if you feel like he was going to get taken off the board really quickly there in the second, okay, fine. So you take him with the second pick. What I would rather have seen at that point would be for them to package the Pocic pick and then maybe the Darbo pick back in the third, and move up a few spots and grab one of the few remaining top tier offensive lineman talent.
But I think part of what you wanted from the Seahawks in this draft, they couldn't give you with the number 26 pick. You wanted an offensive lineman who could come in and start and be awesome right away.
Yes, you could.
And
yes, you could. You absolutely could. You could have picked him 3 times. His name's Cam Robinson.
I don't know. If
you don't know a guy that went up against elite talent for his entire career at Alabama, played in a pro style offense, and played the most dire position that we have on the team is in terms of a lack of talent that as a starter currently, he was right there.
For all the demands on offensive line for all the teams in the NFL, for the number 1 offensive lineman to go to the 20th pick overall, that doesn't happen. There's always dudes getting picked in the top 10 on the offensive line.
And I get that, but I don't need him to be elite. I don't need him to be, Orlando Pace. I need him to be pick your league average left tackle. I just would have done it a little differently. Is all I'm getting at. With that said, as I go through a lot of these players, there's a lot to be excited about. There's some guys that really make a lot of sense for this team.
Well, let's get into them, and let's go ahead and start off with the number 35 overall pick in round 2. The Seahawks get defensive end Malik McDowell. Here's the call the Seahawks made to Malik.
Hey, Malik, it's Coach Carroll.
How you doing, Coach Carroll?
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready. You got a little something going on in the background. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Well, this is a big deal to us, and kind of waited all day to get to you, or all night last night, and here we go. Your coaches are fired up. Everybody's jacked about it. Come in here serious as you can be. Let's do something really special with this, okay?
6'6", 276 pounds from Detroit, Michigan. He played college at Michigan State. Well, first, let's talk about what's not to like about this Malik McDowell pick, because this is one of the guys.
Not much.
there's not much
not to like.
There's not much, but it was interesting because this was in our bonus show last week. We took the last look at defensive linemen, at linebackers, and some other guys that the Seahawks had brought in and talked to before the draft. Malik McDowell was one of those guys, and I said it in the bonus show, and I'll say it here. When I see a guy's draft profile that says that he has tremendous upside, but there's concerns about his work ethic, I thought to me that just screamed bust, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to his tape when I saw that. Usually when there's those type of concerns, the Seahawks don't look at players like that. But what I didn't take the time to look at is why there are concerns about his work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that concern is overblown. I really do. This is a guy that produced fairly well as a junior, and at the beginning of the year, his senior year, he was producing well, but he didn't play with anybody. Like, their team sucked. They went into the tank.
Didn't they lose like 7 games in a row?
Yeah. And that's when the lack of effort started to show, at some point. In college football, you lose 1 game and your season's pretty much over.
Right.
You lose 7 in a row and you end up with 9 losses as a whole. That gets real demoralizing right quick.
Especially when you're playing in the Big Ten with Ohio State and Michigan and Wisconsin.
Yep. And you had all these expectations heaved upon you, and then they put you in a position that doesn't fit your skill set and makes it very difficult for you to succeed. It was the perfect storm for him to not look good over the second half of his senior season. And look, you can watch, just turn on his highlights, man. He is very similar to Mike Bennett.
Yeah.
He really is. This is your guy that you're drafting in hopes that he'll be a replaceable cog for your defensive line down the road when you have to move on from Michael Bennett. This could be the next guy for that.
You were talking about how he was kind of playing out of position. I saw an article from Stephen White of SB Nation, and Stephen White was he was a defensive lineman for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He really likes Malik McDowell, and reading his article, apparently there's no filter for language at SB Nation, because
you can say what you want.
He was super unimpressed with how Michigan State was using Malik McDowell, essentially using him as a nose tackle.
Right.
And still, he would take on 2 blockers, and sometimes he would be able to make dudes miss. Now, I watched a little bit of the game against Wisconsin, where Wisconsin actually had pretty good success running at his gap, because he would try and move out of the way of the 2 blockers that were assigned to him, and he would end up moving out of the way to where the runner would end up running, and that didn't look so good. But there were some just incredible plays where he got into the backfield playing where he did and being double teamed most of the time. And then I don't know if you saw the Notre Dame game, but he completely dominated that one.
You're right about one thing. He has moments that are absolutely dominant. They really are special. You talked about him jumping out of gaps and things like that in the Wisconsin game. Technique wise, he's again a little like Mike Bennett, a little bit of a freelancer, kind of does his own thing. And that sometimes it works out great and sometimes it doesn't. Something he'll have to clean up a little bit in the NFL, and people are going to have to teach him how to pick his shots and things like that a little bit more. But a guy who could really help with interior pass rush. I mean, we were just saying he was misplaced at nose tackle, but he was doing that on rundowns. I mean, he was basically asked to be like a Brandan Mebane type of player.
Yeah.
And it's just not who he is. But on passing downs and in passing situations, he could be an absolute terror on the inside. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. I'm very excited about the pick. I like the idea of getting a defensive lineman of that kind of caliber. Because I said it before this draft. I mean, we talked about a few podcasts ago that as long as they went line one way or the other, I wouldn't be that upset.
Yeah.
And we need more offensive. We need 4 offensive linemen and really only like 1 or 2 D linemen. I mean, we've been doing other things with bringing in the kid from Miami, Jordan, and they drafted a defensive lineman later here too. There's still some veterans out there as well, but the defensive line looks pretty stacked as a whole after this.
Yeah. And part of moving down, one of the things that I think that Pete Carroll and John Schneider liked, moving down to get McDowell at number 35, they also pick up Delano Hill at number 95. They picked up Tedric Thompson at number 111, Mike Tyson at 187, and Chris Carson at 249. So by moving back, it allows them to pick up 4 other guys in addition to getting the guy that they had seemingly targeted all along.
Yeah, he was high on their radar. There's no doubt about that.
If he can be that type of interior guy, we talked to Rob Staten about Jonathan Allen being the one guy that maybe they would consider trading up for. And if this was the number 2 guy behind Allen and they got to move back and not having to give up all that draft capital, then maybe that's a win for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think it very well could be. And that's kind of what my point was earlier was, I mean, you could still pick him at this spot and then still trade up for an offensive lineman using some of those extra picks that you accumulated,
right. And I think that was a little bit surprising for me and for other Seahawks fans too, because you accumulate all those picks, like I mentioned. I mean, having 4 picks at the back end of round 3, it was the Seahawks broke a record for day 2 number of picks. They had 6 picks on the second day, 2 in the second round, and then the 4 at the end of the third round. When that day started, I think none of us thought that they would actually pick all those guys in those spots. And yet they stayed put. And at number 58, they picked center Ethan Pocic from LSU.
Ethan, hey, it's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks calling. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, we're on the clock here right now. And with the 58th pick, we're going to select you, okay? So congratulations, my man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Come on up here and kick some ass, dude. Here's Coach Carroll, all right?
Hey, fellas, we got Ethan on the phone.
How y'all doing?
Hey, we're doing great, man. Everybody's fired up. We were trying to get this done the whole time, hoping we could get you. We love what you've been doing and how you play and all that, and so we're fired up to tell you. Come to the Seahawks, brother.
Yes, sir. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
6'6", 302 pounds out of Lamont, Illinois. And as Pete Carroll mentioned, they had been waiting and waiting to select Pocic. And apparently, they had thought about trading up to go get him. So there you go, Adam. If they were going to be trading up, it probably would have been to take this guy.
Right, which is this is where the head scratcher part comes in. I mean, I understand that they look at him as a very versatile guy who can play all the different spots. He's done a little bit of that. But his main success was at center, and quite literally, you could have picked any other position on the offensive line and to give competition to. Like, we had one guy that played like a real NFL offensive lineman last year, and he was your center. And then with your highest pick for offensive lineman in this draft, you pick a center. I mean, do we have the audio of Pete Carroll mocking the dude on the radio that called in and was saying, can't you just pick a guard or a tackle, a dude that plays the position you want him to play? I really wanted to be excited about this guy when I went and turned on his game film. And I found, I think it was 3 games against some of the top tier competition in the SEC, where it was just every offensive snap. So it wasn't just highlights, but every offensive snap. And one thing you know for sure when it comes to Pocic is you're not going to have to bust out the maple syrup because he ain't making pancakes for everybody. Like he's an excellent guy in pass protection, but he doesn't move people. He's really good at coming off the ball and standing his guy up and then moving his feet and turning his body and sealing the defender to either the left or the right to create the running lane. Mm-hmm. He's really good at that. But if you're expecting him to move a guy off the line, it ain't happening. He's built all wrong for it. He's too tall to do that. And then he's mainly upper body. I mean, that's another thing with the way the Seahawks draft offensive linemen that's really weird to me. Most of the successful offensive linemen I know, Brandon, they all have that like old man offensive lineman square butt, like that doesn't look like, you know what I'm talking about? It's like real square and wide and blocky, and like the pants kind of sag below it.
Honestly, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like you look at offensive linemen, like they're big on the base, you know, and they don't look like a basketball player basically. And they keep drafting these guys. I mean, Britt's built this way. Pocic is built this way. Fant's built this way. Gilliam was built this way, where they're fairly skinny in their base.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that. Excellent in pass protection, though. I think that's a big plus.
Yeah, didn't allow a sack in all of 2016.
Yeah. I guess maybe they're going to try him at tackle first.
Yeah, one of those spots, huh?
But I don't see him pushing for a starting job. And it's okay. I think Ethan Pocic is a nice kid. I like him. I think that he probably does have some skills. He tested out athletically as one of the few top 20 guys athletically in the draft, as per his position. So I'm rooting for him. Hopefully it turns out. Hopefully he can come in and be a contributor this year. I don't have the highest of hopes, so.
Well, it's offensive line, so you have a good reason to not have high hopes for the Seahawks on the offensive line. It's ingrained into your mind at this point. So
yeah, it's hard to trust.
It is hard to build trust, and hopefully this is the start this offseason toward building your trust and maybe other Seahawks fans too. But let's move on to the first pick of round 3. As I mentioned, they had 4 picks toward the end of the 3rd round. At number 90, they pick up cornerback Shaquille Griffin from University of Central Florida. Here's his call with Pete Carroll and John Schneider.
Do you want to get picked right here at 90, or do you want me to just call somebody else?
No, sir. I'm ready, Coach.
Okay,
ready, sir.
Congratulations, dude. Can't wait to see you. We're selecting you right here at 90, okay?
I'm definitely excited.
Okay, here's Coach Carroll, my man.
Hey, let's hear a big Shaq. Hey, how about that? The whole crowd's fired up for you, Shaq.
I appreciate that, Coach.
That's really
appreciate
exciting.
that. Thank you.
Okay, well, you were here with us, and we made a great visit with you, and you did a great job. So you're coming to the Seahawks, isn't that something?
I can't wait, Coach. I'm glad to be a part of the family, Coach. Definitely, man. I'm excited.
Terrific.
6'1", 200 pounds from St. Petersburg, Florida. Shaquille Griffin. This was a guy that we talked about leading up to the draft.
Maybe the guy that I don't know. I'm pretty excited about McDowell.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited about Griffin. You mentioned missing out on Kevin King with the Packers taking him a spot before we were able to select.
Right.
This is as good a plan B as you could get. I mean, he's got all those same physical tools. The difference is they just didn't have him play a lot of press in college. He played a lot off.
Right. Yeah, and that was my big question in watching some of his tape, is that he didn't play a lot of press, and so not being able to see him play that way, I had the questions, and I thought that was some of the downside. I also, the fact that Cordrea Tankersley from Clemson was still on the board, I thought that he was
I like this guy athletically more.
Yeah, athletically, oh, definitely. But Tankersley was the more physical guy, I thought. But this guy can lay the wood, too, on some of his hits that we saw in his tape.
He's not afraid of the physical contact. I just don't think he's been coached into it at that position.
Yeah.
And this is where, when we talk about trust, boy, I wholeheartedly trust Pete Carroll and Chris Richard and crew to take somebody with this kind of skill set that they drafted this early that has these sort of measurables and turn him into a real player. I mean, he even looks a little like Sherman out there, just the way that he moves.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of he even looks a little like him. Now,
and he has the swag, like I mentioned. He had the leopard print cleats at the combine that he ran in, he had that 40 time of under 4.4, the third best vertical jump. Yeah, and second best broad jump, 11 feet. So the dude can jump.
Oh man, yeah, he's super impressive. I think this pick will end up being a home run. When we go back and look at this at the end of the day, this might be the pick out of this draft that we look at and say that was the big one from that draft. I really like what his potential is. Places where he struggled, he really struggled with slants and inside routes. He really struggled with combination routes, things like that. Some recognition with that. Again, that's all technique stuff. That's recognition stuff. I really believe that they'll be able to bring him to a level. Now, whether or not he's making a starters type contribution this year, hard to say. I mean, Deshaun Shedd's injury kind of does open up that door and that opportunity for him. So we'll see. But heck, man, once Shedd's back, I'm really counting on Lane to have a bounce back year. I feel like with all the other depth that we have, and especially with a lot of these other dudes that were drafted, we're going to hit on one of these dudes.
So, this is the kind of quantity that you wanted on an offensive line, but you get it in the defensive backfield. So
you end up finally hitting on one,
As we've seen with Pete Carroll, we've never really seen him. Well, we haven't. He's hit on everybody apart from, I think, everybody except one 5th rounder and one 6th rounder are still dudes like who can play. Like,
they're at least in the league, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like Winston Guy is a guy who he picked in the 6th round way back. And, Byron Maxwell, another guy that was picked in the 6th round, not with the team, but Byron Maxwell, a better player than Winston Guy, but still, Guy is still in the league.
Walter Thurman played well before he retired.
Right.
I mean, he had one of his best years when he retired playing safety.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you go down the line. I mean, Thorold Simon might be a guy that you look at that was kind of more of a washout.
Yeah. What was he, 5th rounder?
Yeah. But I mean, even still, I mean, the track record's high. It's quite literally the opposite of offensive line. So I really like this pick. I like what he brings to the table. I'm excited for him, but he's not the only dude that is going to be competing to make this roster in the defensive backfield. They went DB with their next pick as well.
Yep. Round 3, number 95, strong safety, Delano Hill. And here's his call.
Hey, it's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks.
How you doing?
How you doing, buddy? I catch you at a bad time?
No, you coming at a good time.
Okay, cool. We're on the clock right now at 95, and we're going to select you, man. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Come on in here and kick some ass, all right, brother?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to beat some ass.
I know you are, bud. Congrats. Here's Coach Carroll, okay?
All right.
Big D, man. Everybody's fired up about you coming in. Oh, shit, listen to the crowd. The 12s are going crazy already. We're really fired up about you coming. This is going to be a great one for you. You're going to love it here. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you get out here with us in a couple of days whenever we can get you here.
6'1", 205 pounds from Detroit, Michigan. 215 pounds, maybe. Whatever his weight was, dude is fast, ran a 4.4 at that weight.
Right, yet struggled in coverage a little bit despite that speed. He definitely is a more around the line of scrimmage kind of player. He's definitely more in the Cam Chancellor mold without quite the size. But he's an amazing tackler, heck of a tackler. That was something that you really saw right out of the gate with his tape. And he's really great at diagnosing and blowing up little bubble screens and pop throws and things like that, those little quick hitters, things like that. He absolutely recognizes those things very quickly, can sort through the trash and find the ball carrier. And if he gets his hands on you, you're going down. Like, that's pretty much it. Now, he's not going to take your head off like Cam. I mean, he hits. Don't get me wrong. It's not that he's soft or anything. He's just not Cam that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's a great tackler. Definitely more of a strong safety type in my mind. I think this is somebody that they look at and they hope to, and I think a few guys fit this, actually. They're really looking hard for that big nickel player. Like, that's something you can tell is a huge emphasis for them this offseason, whether that's bringing in McDougald earlier in free agency, and then with Hill and a couple of the other safeties that they brought in. A cool pick. It'll be interesting to see how he competes going through, and he could be a great special teams contributor.
One thing that struck me that when we were talking before a couple shows back, we talked about Jordan Lewis, the corner from Michigan, making a visit, and we talked about how he didn't seem to fit kind of that traditional mold for Seahawks corners. But then they go and they pick two guys from Michigan. And Adam, you said it was a smoke screen. Could it have been that they were just intel gathering for other guys on the team, trying to get a better of idea what Delano's like, and maybe, guys like Amara Darbo from Michigan, bringing in another guy just to get a sense of what other guys on the team they might be looking for additional information.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, you heard John Schneider talk about with the Pocic pick. They specifically didn't get Tom Cable involved with that as to not tip their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sneaky, man. They'll do sneaky things. They will.
Well, let's move on. In round 3 at number 102, they take defensive tackle Nazir Jones.
Hello?
Nazir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks.
How you doing?
Good, man. We have pick 102 right here, bud. We're going to select you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. Congratulations, man. I'm going to get Pete Carroll on the phone for you, all right?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Congratulations, man. Get ready to go up here and kick some ass, all right?
All right, thank you.
All right.
We're talking to Nazir here, fellas. Hey.
How you doing?
Can you hear that? I'm cheering for you here. Hey, congratulations.
Yes, sir.
This is a good deal.
Thank you so much.
Who are you with? You with your family?
Yes, sir.
Is everybody kind of giddy and having fun?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, congratulations.
6'5", 295 pounds from Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. The thing that makes me laugh about that clip is that Nazir seems like so intimidating and focused in that call. But yeah, I read his Twitter timeline, and he's like one of the funniest dudes of all the players that the Seahawks have picked. So it just doesn't, match up in my mind in terms of his personality. But he sounds like an intimidating guy.
Yeah, maybe he's just one of those stoic, funny guys.
Yeah,
really, very dry funny. That could be a stick, but one thing I can tell you about him for sure is this is the guy that they look at to be more in that Brandan Mebane type of role, or Tony McDaniel, kind of your more traditional nose tackle, playing how McDowell was forced to play, but having the body type to do it. And I don't think that this is somebody that you look at that you anticipate them being a great interior pass rusher, but a guy who can really stuff the run, chew up double teams, free things up for everybody else, a good depth guy to bring in for that defensive line rotation to keep guys fresh, whether that's just through a game or even throughout the season. It's a good pick. But the one thing that stood out to me with him is he really can shed blocks, and once he does, he's very explosive to the ball carrier. And I mean, he hits with authority, and it's pretty impressive. He's a pretty athletic guy that way, but there's not a lot of dudes in this draft that you look at with superstar potential. I don't believe this is one of those guys, but somebody that can come in and be a valuable contributor right out of the gate.
Well, the thing that stood out to me was part of his backstory, and that, you look for those gritty type of guys. This guy, he nearly had to give up football after his junior year in high school. And apparently it was some condition called complex regional pain syndrome. Mm-hmm. And it was it's a disease that made him so he couldn't even walk. And it caused him to lose 50 pounds in a month. And so when he returned back to school as a senior and was looking to play that final senior year of high school, there were a lot of schools that really liked him that backed off of him because of this condition. And he was at a point to where they weren't even sure that he was going to walk again. And so for the fact that he could go on and have a really successful college career and now make it to the NFL, just a really cool story.
Yeah, definitely one of those feel-good stories, no doubt about that. But as far as having those 4 third-round picks, I think that was one of them where you looked at and you said, that's good value for that spot in the draft. Feel good about that one.
And the position of need along the defensive line.
Correct, yeah.
The next one maybe wasn't a position of need necessarily, but they had one final pick in the 3rd round at number 105. They go back to Michigan and they select wide receiver Amara Darbo.
Hello?
Amara.
Hey.
Hey, it's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks. How you doing, partner?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, man. We're on the clock right here at 106.
Yeah.
And we're going to select you, man. Congratulations. Get ready to come here and kick some ass, all right, partner?
Yeah, I'm ready to appreciate that.
All right, my man.
All right.
Hey, here's Coach Carroll, okay?
Hey, buddy, what's up? You guys are fired up around here. Look at this crowd.
Yeah, I'm appreciate it, Coach Carroll.
Hey, it's a great pick, man. We're excited about getting you here. We need you. We need you to come in and play tough.
Yeah.
We need you to do all that you do. We're going to ask you to do a lot of good, tough, hard stuff. Your family cranking up?
Yeah, they're all here and excited.
Oh, good deal. Well, congratulations to you. We're really happy to get this done.
6'2", 215 pounds, out of Freetown, Sierra Leone. And that's where his unique story comes in. A guy who was orphaned at 2 years old in Sierra Leone. At 7 years old, after 35,000 people were killed during a civil war there, he finally got out of the country with his older brothers and some other family members. Apparently traveled like over 400 miles on foot to get out of the area. And now a wide receiver for Michigan and getting drafted. And I like the Seahawks track record with college receivers who played for Jim Harbaugh.
Your sample size is a little small.
That's a little small, but Doug Baldwin, he turned out pretty good.
Well, yeah, because it's precisely 2, former Harbaugh receivers, but just one happened to end up playing corner when it was all said and done. So yeah, there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
Now 3.
Right.
A really cool story for this kid. It's one of those, that's the American dream, right? It's something you root for. Unfortunately, this is the pick that I am by far the least excited by.
Okay.
It's not even close.
He had one spectacular catch in his highlights that it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's a body catcher. He doesn't really catch with his hands. He doesn't really have great hands. He ran a really fast 40 in the combine.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't show up on the field. It really doesn't translate to the field for him. There's some guys that are like that are just more workout wonders. He's very strong. There's no doubt about that. And it's not that he's slow. He's just not a burner. I could think maybe the only guy in the Seahawks wide receiver core that couldn't beat him in a foot race is maybe Jermaine Kearse. And even that's a toss-up still. A lot of people look at this pick as somebody to push him. This feels a lot like the Kevin Norwood pick from a couple years ago to me. If he makes the team, I'll be stunned. If he does, it'll be a special teamer. To me, the upside at best for him is the next Ricardo Lockett as far as the special teamer.
Okay.
That's where I see him fitting. But to spend a 3rd round pick there, look, if you're going to do everything you did at the beginning of this draft that I've been crying about earlier, say you don't pick Darbo, there's still Saragusa on the board. I know you liked Asiata a little bit at guard on the board. There are still some guys that you could take a swing at. Am I saying those guys can absolutely play and it'd be a home run? No, but you'd at least taken one more swing at it.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of guys at the end of round 3 where I thought they could go. I thought they could go running back. I thought maybe they could go backup quarterback at this position. Having so many picks here, it just felt like a luxury pick to where you could pick another running back. Maybe Pirine, Samaje Pirine from Oklahoma was still on the board.
Exciting. Yep.
So Jake Butt. I would have loved to have a Seahawks jersey with Butt on the back.
Are you into Butt?
And maybe a little into. Well, there were 2 jerseys.
I didn't watch any Butt film, so I don't know.
You didn't watch any Butt film, huh? No.
No.
There were 2 jerseys that I really wanted. If the guys got Tyus Bowser or Jake Butt, and having a jersey with Bowser on the back would have been cool.
That'd have been pretty solid as well. Yeah, so there were a lot. This was a surprising pick, I think, overall. I think the person that might be most excited about it is Frank Clark. He lost his mind a little bit via Twitter over the selection of Darbo, being that they had played together. Said he was built like the Hulk and runs like a deer or something. I don't know. But fellow Michigan guys, so they're happy about that. But who knows? Hopefully this guy proves me wrong. He obviously is no stranger to beating the hardest and longest odds a human being can.
Right. Well, let's move on to the fourth round, the third day of the draft, and the Seahawks started out. They had the fourth pick of day 3, and they used it to get Tedric Thompson, safety out of Colorado.
Hello?
Hey, is this Tedric?
Yeah, this is me.
Tedric, hey, it's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks.
How you doing?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
You want to get taken right here, or do you want us to wait?
No, I'd rather you take me right now.
Okay, man. Hey, we're at 111. We're going to select you right here, so congratulations, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, congratulations, man. Here's Coach Carroll, all right, buddy?
Tedric, you okay?
Hello?
Hey, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, baby. Listen to all these fans here. The crowd's going wild. Hey, we're jacked up to get you, man. You've been a terrific player. You've been a guy, kind of guy that we love to have. All the plays you made on the ball, all the stuff you've done in your career really makes you one of our guys. So come on down, okay?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Enjoy it, man. I know it's emotional, but enjoy the heck out of it.
6 feet, 205 pounds from Valencia, California, and by far the most emotional of all the calls that the Seahawks made on draft day.
That's what it sounds like to have a dream come true. I mean, that's what that audio, that if you ever wondered what that sounds like, there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's touching. That's definitely touching, and pretty cool for the young man. A cool pick too. I like this player.
I like Colorado DBs, man. Is that like a DB powerhouse out of college?
Apparently.
I couldn't believe how many defensive backs were getting picked up out of Colorado in this draft.
Yeah, between them and Washington, right?
Yeah.
Like those are a couple powerhouse schools that way. But the number 111, he was a 111 selection overall in the draft. That's a lucky number for me. So I have a feeling, this is just a hunch, that this guy could be a home run for sure. And he's definitely smaller. He's fast, and boy, does he have a nose for the football. Really, really good ball skills, and great in coverage. When they first picked him, basically they would announce the pick, and I'd go and I'd look up as much stuff as I could, like immediately, waiting for the next pick to come along. And boy, did I have time, because
you
they
had
didn't
a lot
have
of time.
pick. So I looked through his stuff, and my first thought before hearing John and Pete talk about him at all was, this feels like a corner conversion to me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because with the speed, is he more of an Earl Thomas type replacement?
Big time, yes.
Or do you think he could potentially be a corner?
Yeah, so that's what my initial thought was, right? Was that he could be a corner, kind of do the Deshaun Shedd thing. Start out playing safety and then end up there at corner. But hearing John and Pete talk, they're going to start him out at free safety. Okay. That's where they want to see him get going. So, we saw how much it hurt to lose Earl last year. And, even though we had a couple guys come in and do a reasonable Earl Thomas impersonation, this guy has more athleticism to get that done.
Now, what did you think about him in terms of his run defense? Because I read an article on USA Today's Bills Wire that absolutely crushed Thompson as a run defender.
Yeah, it's not his strength. That's going to be something that they'll need to work on. But again, if there's a thing that I trust the Seahawks to develop well in players, is tackling. I mean, they've been one of the best tackling teams in all of football since Pete Carroll's gotten there, and the whole hawk tackling thing and the rugby style stuff and all of that. I think that's something that you can work yourself into, and he's going to have to, because it is no guarantee he makes this roster. With as many DBs as they've brought in via free agency and through the draft now. And it'll be exciting to see what he ends up doing. But you kind of had him draft one safety that's a little more of a Cam clone, and then here you are with somebody who's a little more of an Earl clone.
And as you mentioned, the Seahawks had quite a bit of space between that 111 pick and 187 in round 6. And with that pick, they took cornerback Mike Tyson.
Hello?
Hey, Mike, it's John Schneider with the Seahawks calling.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man, you remember our conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, bud. Congratulations. We're going to select you right here at 187, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, come on in and you make a name for yourself, all right, partner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's Coach Carroll, okay?
What's up, Mike Tyson? What's happening, buddy? Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
What's up, Coach?
Can you hear your fans? They're already cheering for you. Look at these guys. All fired up. Hey, we want you to come in and play some ball. We want you to cover some people. And play special team.
Yes, sir.
Gas, and do the stuff that you love doing, running and hitting, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll get you in here soon. Coach Curtis wants to talk to you. Everybody's fired up to get you here. Congratulations.
6'2", 201 pounds out of Norfolk, Virginia. I do not want to say anything bad about a guy named Mike Tyson, based on his name alone.
Out of respect for Mr. Tyson, I vow to not make any Mike Tyson jokes because it's just been, I can't imagine growing up with that name.
Yeah. But the thing about this, though, I think it would serve him well in the trash talking department because I think it would give you ammunition.
So what, he's going to look at somebody and be like, I'm going to eat your children. Like, is that what he's going to do?
Maybe.
Is he going to bite somebody's ear?
Yeah.
Like through the game? Yeah, I don't know.
The threat's at least there.
Yeah. So this guy was a little bit of the opposite than Thompson that we were just talking about. When I watched him play, he's definitely more of the thumper type, a heck of a tackler, very physical. I was like, this guy will probably be more of the safety variety that could play.
Mm-hmm.
And nope, turns out they want to really try him out a corner. So the opposite of what I thought on both those guys. But he'll be interesting. But I think this is definitely one of the guys they're looking at and they're saying, can you be that big nickel guy?
Yeah.
They're desperate for it.
Well, that's kind of what he played in college at Cincinnati. And watching some of the highlights from his 3-interception game against Purdue, one of the commentators referred to him as part strong safety, part linebacker. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, yeah, the big nickel type of guy that the Seahawks are looking for. But as you mentioned, the Hawks apparently like him as an outside press corner, and at least for him to work on that. But like I mentioned, here's another round 6 player. The Seahawks, they've only missed on one 6th-round defensive back, just once. And that was Eric Pinkins in 2014. He's the only guy that they picked in the 6th round that's out of the league right now.
Wasn't he out of like University of Buffalo State Northern or something? Like seriously, he was from somewhere like Nowheresville.
No, Eric Pinkins was from San Diego State.
Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking of a different dude that they had brought in. Who was it? The guy I'm thinking of was a dude that had played defensive end and they were trying to make him a safety. Oh. It was like 3 years ago.
Huh.
I can't remember. He was an undrafted guy. It doesn't matter. But, Mike Tyson, big competition here for him. Heck of a player against the run. And I imagine he could be a really good special teamer. And when you start looking in, 6th-round draft picks and things like that, that's how you make a team.
You're looking for guys to round out your special teams, right?
Right. Exactly.
Well, here's a guy you probably won't expect to see on special teams, but a guy to compete on the offensive line in the 6th round at number 210. They picked Justin Sr., an offensive tackle out of Mississippi State.
Hello?
Hey, is this Justin?
This is Justin.
Hey, Justin, this is John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks calling.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
Sorry. I'm doing great.
What are you doing not picked yet?
What am I doing right now?
I said, what are you doing not picked yet, man? What's going on?
Oh, no, I have no idea, man.
Hey, we're gonna select you right here. We're gonna select you right here at 210, partner. Get in here and work your tail off, all right, man?
Yeah, I will, man.
Okay.
No doubt about that.
All right, let's get this thing going again, all right? Here's Coach Carroll, all right? Here's Coach Carroll, my man.
Hey, Justin, welcome to the Seahawks, brother.
Thank you so much.
A lot of guys fired up for you in here. Hey, we're excited to have you, and look forward to getting you in here a couple weeks from now and to get you started, okay? Take care of yourself. Have some fun with this. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Guy that's fired up, and a guy, Adam, a guy that can now join the corner of Canadian players because he is from Canada. So they can put him in the corner there with John Ryan and Luke Wilson, and he can fit right in over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Drink some Molson and talk about if they're going to knit some toques or, whatever it is the Canadians do. But, boy, a guy that actually plays tackle that they drafted, he played right tackle. And so, of course, they're going to see how he looks at left tackle to start.
Yeah, because he can't play the same spot that he did in college. That makes zero sense. You got to move him around.
Got to move him around. Can't possibly do the thing that they've grown up doing. So I guess that's a step in the right direction because it's at least still tackle. So I'm happy about that. when you look at him and I talk about build, he's built more like a traditional offensive lineman, somebody that you think could really play. Real thick lower body. He gets his hands on you, and it's good night, Irene. Like, I mean, you're going nowhere. He did have, from what I watched of him, some big mental lapses here and there that left some free runners just coming dead at Dak Prescott. He played with him his senior year. Had a little better junior year than his senior year. Apparently has put on some weight. He's kind of in that Carpenter mold. We're going to have to watch him a little bit in that area. But a guy to come in and compete, if I'm Riso Diambo, I'm looking over my shoulder a little bit.
You know, when I saw that they picked up an offensive lineman in the 6th round, I went back and I looked at the day 3 picks on offensive line in the Carroll Schneider era. And essentially,
it's a graveyard of names, man.
It tells me that if he's going to be around in 2 years, he's going to be in the minority, because I see 7th rounders, Michael Bowie and Ryan Seymour, long gone. 6th rounders, Joey Hunt, Ryan Seymour. I already said Ryan Seymour.
Yeah, he's still not on the team.
And
Garrett Scott was somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, Garrett Scott was the one I was thinking of. And then if you want to count your D-line converts, J.R. Sweezy and Christian Sokoli, they were in the 6th round. Mm-hmm. No 5th rounders. They haven't taken a 5th round offensive lineman yet. And then your 4th rounders are Terry Poole and Mark Glowinski. And so Glow is the only one to stick around. And Sweezy and Glowinski, the only 2 guys to stick around for more than a couple seasons.
Yeah. Well, I guess Britt stuck around for a few seasons now, but he was a second rounder.
Yeah. I'm talking about day 3 guys.
Oh, day 3 guys. Okay, I got you. Yeah. So
another thing though that I thought was cool. Remember how we were talking about that tight end, Anthony Auclair, the dude from Laval?
I think so, yeah.
He was one of the top ranked guys on the CFL, the Canadian Football League scouting rankings.
Right.
Justin Senior is the number 1 ranked prospect on the Canadian Football League's official scouting list.
Some GM up in Canada is wicked pissed right now.
Super pissed that the Seahawks took their guy.
I have cautious optimism for him.
Okay.
I do. I think he's got the physical traits. He's not as raw as a lot of those late round offensive linemen that we had taken.
Defensive
in the
linemen,
past.
you mean?
Yeah, them too.
Because usually if it's late round, they're defensive linemen.
Right, that we try to convert. But I mean, they've taken some offensive linemen as well.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
So yeah, I think we'll see. I'm hoping that he makes a big push for that left tackle spot, man. I would not be sad if he ends up being better than Jokel, and Jokel, we just end up eating $7 million while he sits on the bench and is just there just in case.
Or plays guard.
Well, in place of who?
Well, he would play guard, and then you'd have competition at the right guard spot between Glowinski, Pocic, and the other dude that they brought in for under $1 million.
So Glowinski makes steady progress every year that he plays left guard. Let's definitely not keep him at left guard.
Play the guys who's best.
You might be best because you've played the same position a few times for a few different years.
He might be. If he wins out, then good for him.
Yeah, okay.
There is more competition, I think, on the offensive line this year than in previous years.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see.
Maybe not to the level you want to see it, Adam, but there is more.
That could be the problem. Yeah.
Well, moving on to the 7th round, the final round of the NFL draft. At number 226, the Seahawks go back to wide receiver, and they go to East Central Oklahoma to pick up David Moore.
Hello?
Hey, David.
Yeah, hey. How you doing?
It's John Schneider, the general manager of the Seahawks.
Okay.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Good. Hey, we're at 226 right here. We're getting ready to select you, okay?
All right, that sounds good.
You good with that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, man. Here's Coach Carroll, okay? Congratulations.
All right, man. Thank you.
Hey, David, it's Coach Carroll. What's up? Hey, baby.
What's up, man? Yay.
See, that crowd's going wild around here. We're off, Jack.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hey, man. Thank you.
All right. Well, you got a lot of work to do here. We got high hopes and all kinds of thoughts of how we're going to make this work out. But congratulations, and you're a Seahawk, dude. How about that?
Oh, man. Thank you, man. It feels great.
All right.
6'2", 208 pounds from Gainesville, Texas. One of my favorite calls.
That was a great call.
He sounded like it caught him a little off guard.
Yeah. You know, I hadn't really thought about the NFL like for reals, but now that you called, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll come play. This is what I know about David Moore. You type in David Moore and try to look up highlights, and there's 3 other David Moores that pop up that are not him, and some of them are high school film. So good luck finding that. But they're super stoked about this dude. Apparently, he's kind of a physical freak.
Kind of, yeah, a Division II guy. And the interesting thing I found out about him, it's a moving target in terms of his height. The official school profile had him at 6'2". I've seen reports that he's 6'1", and at his pro day, he measured a half inch above 6 feet. So just like you, Adam, he's growing in reverse over the course of 2 months, though, instead of 20 years.
Right. The curious case of David Moore, basically. He's basically Benjamin Button here.
You have the same affliction, but...
yeah, I do. The other thing that comes with that affliction is that your sense of humor becomes more childlike as you regress as well. So, I understand it.
You mentioned him being a physical freak. I mean, 4.4 40-yard dash, 26 reps on the bench press for a wide receiver, and 36.5-inch vertical. I saw some reports that he's run a sub 4.4 on his 40, so... Definitely a guy that you could see contribute on special teams potentially, and a bonus if he can compete at the receiver spot, but maybe a guy that can fill that gunner type role on the outside as a wide receiver.
The role that he will fill will be to take Kenny Lawler's spot on the practice squad.
Yeah, it could be that too.
That's what he's destined to do this year, especially coming from what was the school?
East Central
Oklahoma City College North. Was that what it was?
Yeah, East Central Oklahoma. To me, it seemed more Southeast Central. I think if you're going to put more directions in there, when I looked at the map. You went to school
in the state of Oklahoma. Had you ever heard of East Central Oklahoma?
No, and this isn't all that far from the University of Oklahoma in Norman. It's just to the east of it. So there you go. Never heard of it.
But in the middle, like the Middle East, because it's East Central.
It's in the Middle East of Oklahoma.
Right. Exactly.
But I have spent time in the desert in the Middle East and have spent time in Oklahoma, and the landscape very flat, maybe not as much sand, but very flat, barren.
Hot, and miserable. Yeah. That sounds about right.
Fewer camels in Oklahoma, but more cattle, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There you go. Well, trade-offs.
Yeah. And with the final pick for the Seahawks at number 249, they pick up Chris Carson, a running back, also from Oklahoma, but just up the road from Norman, Oklahoma, at Oklahoma State.
It's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks. We're gonna select you right here, okay, partner?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
All right, man. Come on in here and kick ass, buddy. You got a ton of talent, man. Here's Coach Carroll, okay? Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Chris. Yeah. Baby. See, these guys are really jacked. Hey, see all that talk you've been hearing from all those other coaches about this. Now, I told you we were going to do something.
Yes,
That's awesome, man. I'm so fired up that we're doing this. Remember, your style, you're going to hammer it. Physical, tough, knock out of them, work on teams. Special teams is a really big deal, too. But bringing the attitude there's only one way for you to play. You know that. You were a little uncertain at times, but now you know that because you and I are agreeing on that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, congratulations. You're a Seahawk, brother. How about that?
6'1", 215 pounds from Lilburn, Georgia. And that was Chris Carson on the phone with Pete Carroll. Yeah, talk about the Middle East. It kind of reminded me there with the way they were overlapping conversations between him and John Schneider. I remember actually calling my wife from the ship while we were floating out in the water in the Middle East, and we had that same kind of problem. It was almost to the point where he had to say over. So maybe phone reception in Oklahoma, very similar.
Yeah, it could be. And that's how we've reached the 7th round pick that was close to the last one to talk about. Is what we have to talk about is phone reception and how that was like for you when you were on a ship bobbing around the Middle East. Like that's how much we know about him.
I can tell based off your response that you really don't have anything to say.
Not a thing. I really don't. I really don't. I have no idea. Just listening to Pete's comments that they had post the draft was, I think they kind of felt like maybe they could catch a Thomas Rawls magic in the bottle kind of thing again. Same kind of style, same kind of mentality.
Well, and again, I go back to that last pick of the third round where they could have taken Samaje Perine with one of their 4 picks there.
Yeah.
And a guy who proved over the course of his college career that he could be that physical type of runner. And that's apparently what they're looking for here with Carson, because I read an article from John Helsley of the Oklahoman, and apparently Carson had a thumb injury that kept him out 4 games. He played the first 2 games of the season, injured his thumb, and during that time he was evaluating himself as a runner and decided to move on from his own personal image of himself as kind of being a speed and finesse runner. And there was a story, a little anecdote in the article talking about how guys in the running back room were saying to him, dude, you lift all this weight, but we've never seen you actually run over anybody. And so he decided during that time that he was going to reinvent himself as a more physical, punishing type of runner to complement the starter's style at Oklahoma State. And over the course of his, over the next 5 games, he rushed for 362 yards, 6 touchdowns. And over the course of the rest of the season, he was averaging 7.3 yards per carry after that injury.
Oh, well, I guess so. Really, the only thing I have to say about Chris Carson is he'll probably finish the year with more yards than Eddie Lacy. How about that?
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
Nah, it was just trash talk.
Well, the one thing that it is a little bit interesting that I thought that if he did take so long to kind of decide to become that physical style of runner, maybe you have a little bit less wear and tear from college coming into the NFL. That maybe that could be a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's solid prediction there.
All right. Well, with all that, we made it through our list of 11 guys the Seahawks drafted. So why don't we take a break, come back. We'll talk a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. We got a couple emails, some new members of the flock, and of course, do better and better at life. And we are back getting into the second half of the show. And of course, want to talk a little bit about Marshawn Lynch back in the NFL, going to the Raiders. But before we do that, I want to talk some Pristine Auction, Adam. And we've been talking about Pristine Auction, and that's Pristine for a few shows now. And what I want to know is if you're listening to the show, if you've actually gone and won one of their auctions in the past few weeks, tweet at SeahawkersPod on Twitter. Send us a message through our Facebook page, facebook.com/SeahawkersPodcast, and show us what you've won. Let us know that you had a good experience with it.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to know just what swag you got too, man. Like, if I'm not going to buy anything, I want to live vicariously through somebody else. I want to know what cool stuff you got too.
Right.
And maybe that'll inspire me to get on Pristine Auction myself and give it a shot.
Well, when you do, go to SeahawkersPodcast.com/auction. And what that'll do, it'll take you right to the page where all the Seahawks related items are. And
that's handy.
There's a daily auction going on right now. Really, you got to go there every day to see the daily auctions to really see where some of the most affordable auctions are.
You betcha. And you don't have to wait a whole lot of time.
No.
Like, it's done in a day.
It's done in a day.
It's good for people with attention span like me. Like, I can't wait for them to develop an offensive line for 4 or 5 years. I want it now.
You want it now.
And that's how I want my auctions to go too.
And I see a Warren Moon signed Seahawks full-size helmet right now for $20. I'm going to bid on that right now because
do that because I want that really badly.
I need that. I need a full-size helmet. And if I think part of the problem is that I think everybody wants a full-size helmet because I'm facing a lot of competition. So I can only assume that everyone out there is competing to be the first one to buy one to send into the show.
Must be. Always compete, man.
Always compete. Go to SeahawkersPodcast.com/auction. And yes, tweet us a photo. Send us one on Facebook. We want to see what you're taking home off a Pristine Auction. Well, Adam, what do you say we get into some new members of the flock? We got an email from one of our new members. And I want to do something something that we haven't done with our members of the flock that I want to kind of incorporate monthly.
Okay.
So let's start off welcoming Christina Swan to the flock. And Christina is better at life than Skip Bayless. And because of that, you'll be entitled to many of the bonuses we offer on our Patreon page. So welcome to the flock, Christina.
Absolutely.
This month started off slow, but we're back to the spot that we left off at the end of the regular season. That makes me happy.
Oh, sweet. Because, you expect some people to drop off subscribing when the season's over. So we've built back up to there. That's great.
We built back up. And
it's people like Christina, man.
Yeah.
Getting in the flock.
And welcome to the flock to Jared Davis joining our Active 53 in the Ring of Honor on the Facebook page. And Jared sent along a note. And he spells Jared properly, not like our friend Jared. So that's,
okay.
That's good to know.
It's J, no G.
Yeah, there's a J.
All right. Good job, Jared. You're crushing it on a lot of levels today.
Says, hey, guys, just wanted to share my thoughts on this recent draft and how it has awakened my inner 12 and caused me to forget about how annoying this offseason has been. Over the past few months, we 12s have become frustrated over how our beloved Hawks have drifted somewhat from our style of football. Whether it's a less dominant run game, O-linemen who can't play, or depleted swag within the LOB, one thing we can all agree on is that we are not what we once were. But this draft, combined with other moves the Seahawks have made recently, has changed my attitude and feelings about where we're headed as a team. And this much I can tell you. It'll be the Super Bowl.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
Got to start early. It's never too early to start this.
Hey, he beat me to the punch this year, man. Good job, Jared.
Here are 3 reasons why the 12 should expect a Super Bowl reappearance. 1, Richard Sherman and the LOB are not going anywhere. I know you guys were shocked to find out there would be no Richard Sherman trade before the draft. He's a Seahawk and will stay a Seahawk, at least for now. But the guys we drafted to become part of our secondary and special teams got me fired up for the future of this team. Shaquille Griffin and Delano Hill are big-bodied playmakers who I believe could eventually become the new face of the LOB. Also, Tedric Thompson and Mike Tyson provide good depth at the safety spot. Those guys, in addition to signing Bradley McDowell, has given me reason to say confidently that the LOB will get their swagger back. 2, George Kant will not be a starter this year.
Oh, that's sticking.
I don't know.
That's sticking.
I don't like.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the negative.
That's sticking. Yep. You can't deny it, Brandon.
Well done. When John Schneider said good luck in reference to Fant going up against Robert Quinn, to me, that meant he is in fact serious about addressing the offensive line atrocities. That, in addition with signing veterans like Luke Jokel and Ode Ibushi and drafting athletes who can actually play O-line like Ethan Pocic and Justin Sr., all indicate to me that the competition this year will be high. Because of this, I can predict confidently that Fant will lose the starting tackle spot to someone who can play tackle, because we all know the Fant can't.
That's solid, man. That's solid analysis right there. Now, I don't think that the competition is going to be like super high. It'll just be higher. Like, that's the way I put it.
Number 3, Adam, I am pleased to inform you that you're wrong about Eddie Lacy.
Oh, okay. Well, you were doing so well. You're doing so well with this email, Jared.
This is where it picks up to me. When you guys debated this move by the Seahawks on your show weeks ago, I can recall Adam saying that he truly hoped to be wrong about this Eddie Lacy move.
Yeah,
well, Adam, today is your lucky day. You can officially begin your celebration festivities and purchase yourself an Eddie Lacy jersey, because I'm pleased to tell you, you are wrong. Here's the bottom line. If I got paid $1,000 to make my body look like Hugh Jackman's, I would ask, where do I sign? But $385,000 to lose about 20 pounds? Peace out, China food. It's been real. Eddie Lacy is a power runner and a mean one. He can move tacklers and bring dominance to the run game. He's a big guy, but if he loses those 20 to 30 pounds, this could be a very similar situation to the one when we brought in Marshawn from Buffalo. So, Adam, it's okay. You can now go ahead and get excited about Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, there's only one problem with all that. Like, he hasn't done anything yet. So, I mean, we're going to have to, still see him do it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I'm not wrong yet. That's the entire point.
You should start celebrating, because you're going to be.
No. Well, here's the thing. Either way, it's a win for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's all good.
That's true. You're in a no-win situation or a no-lose situation.
I know, which that's maybe only happened like twice in my life before. And the other times I had far less consequences for something that was important to me.
And closing out our welcome to the flock. A welcome to the flock to Nicholas Zerung. Will be welcome to join the Patron Pick'em League once that starts up. And a welcome to the flock to Martin Clow. Stickers and bonus shows for Martin.
Holy cow. All right. So what was that, like 4 people? 5 people that got on the flock this week?
4 new members of the flock.
Wow.
And because it is the start of a new month, Adam, I want to start thanking our biggest monthly supporters. So a special thanks to Ross in Eureka, Craig in Camas, Ron in San Francisco, David in Camas, Ellen Woodway, Roe in Federal Way, Keegan in Colorado Springs, Hector in Seattle, James in Linwood, Sven in Teltow, Germany, Summer in Vancouver, DCH in Sparks, Jimmy in Murray, Young in Anchorage, Tim in Austin, John in New York, and Kathy in Eureka.
You guys are truly amazing. It's been really cool with, having you guys with the Ring of Honor and stuff and getting to know you guys. It's been fun. The community that's come out of that's been really cool. So can't thank you guys enough. We quite literally couldn't do, technically we could do it, but we wouldn't do it without you.
You keep us going. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
So go to getintheflock.com, and if you go there, go to getintheflock.com, and you'll hear our latest bonus show. And that was my appearance on KGEZ 600 in Kalispell, where I predict each game of the 2017 schedule. And people have said that that they enjoyed it.
Okay, cool. Because it should have been real easy for you is all I'm getting at.
16-0. I told Anthony before we started that it was going to be easy, but I did have a little fun with it. So you might want to tune in to check that out.
All it takes is $1 a month, yo. Like, that's nothing.
Get all our bonus shows that way.
You can't even buy a salted nut roll for $1 anymore.
That's messed up. I thought you could get 2 for $1.
Yeah. Back in the day. I know.
Not anymore?
No. Not at the town pump, you can't. The gas station here near my house, nope. Because that's my go-to backpacking candy bar.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't melt and make a mess. And
they have on the wrapper 2 for $1. Do they not do that anymore?
No. At least not there. I don't know. So for less than a salted nut roll, you can get more Seahawks coverage delivered to you, and you help us get closer to our goal of having 300 patrons by the beginning of the year, which would be super sweet.
Absolutely. Well, what do you say we get into some do better and better at life?
All right, man.
I'm going to start off my do better this week by going after walterfootball.com, which huge thanks to them. So this is more like a mini do better, because as I heard from all these guys in their draft conference calls with reporters, it sounded like a lot of them had meetings with the team. And Adam, you and I, we tried to go through all the guys who had met with the team, and we were counting on Walter Football's list to make sure that we talked about all of these guys. I mean, there were a couple. There was Malik McDowell, there's Shaquille Griffin. But there were so many more guys that should have made the list, and I wanted there to be more guys for us to talk about. So for that, Walter Football, do better. But
thanks for giving us a little.
But thanks for giving us. Thanks for being one of the few places that actually posts the information, because it helped us get through at least 2 shows and a bonus show worth of material. So, but still, do better a little bit.
Right on. All right, my do better this week, Brandon, is for a stadium that has caught my ire already this year, and that is for the Avian Death Trap U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota. And I talked to you guys earlier about the idea of their shiny walls makes birds fly into them and then they die because, the Vikings have no soul. But the problem is that that's not the only problem they have with their walls.
Oh, no.
This is a brand new stadium. They spent $1.1 billion on the stadium. Billion with a B. And they already have massive leaks in the walls of the stadium.
What?
Breaking through the moisture barrier. And the damage is already reported to be in the, quote, several $1 million range.
Oh, my goodness.
This is brand spanking new. This is like you just bought it. You bought a new house like about a year ago here, Brandon. Did the whole thing leak like a sieve?
It did not. And
did you pay $1.1 billion for it?
I spent fewer than $1 billion. I can guarantee that. Most people don't like to talk about what they paid for with their house. I can tell you confidently that I spent less than $1 billion.
So basically, they screwed it up. They're killing the birds. And on top of all of that, they don't know who's going to pick up the bill for this. The contractor's been like, we're going to, shoulder our fair share of the responsibility, whatever that means. That
is
doesn't
the contractor
sound like
not the group that built the building.
Well, this is what I'm saying. But like, that sounds like legalese for like, good luck, suckers. So this could actually end up falling on the shoulders of the taxpayers of Minnesota, because they can't spend $1 billion to make a place to play football that doesn't leak water and kill all the wildlife. So for US Bank Stadium, you craptastic piece of junk, do better.
Yeah,
it's no clink, man. It's no clink.
If you spend more than $1 billion, billion with a B, you should be able to get a stadium without holes in it that, the kind of holes that aren't supposed to be there.
Right. The other weird thing about that stadium is the players kind of have to like walk through a restaurant as they come out to like the field.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird, man.
I remember when Adrian Peterson got hurt and like he's limping through the restaurant on his way out of to the training room.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, hey, yeah, can you send me a burger on my way back?
Yeah, that's weird.
This is weird.
Let's get on to Better at Life. And my Better at Life this week is for our billionaire owner, Paul Allen. And no, he's not paying to fill holes in Minnesota stadiums. No, he is paying. He's giving away $30 million of his own money to help find new housing for homeless families in Seattle. He's partnering with the city of Seattle, who's also chipping in an additional $5 million. And they're going to use that to build a service center and housing for the many homeless families in the area. I don't know if you've been to Seattle recently, but driving under some of those underpasses and seeing some of those tents, there's a real problem there. And it's cool to see Paul Allen helping out, the hometown. And, he's been good at helping Seattle, saving the Seahawks, keeping them in Seattle. Also, his many other philanthropic efforts that he puts his money toward.
$1 million enterprises, you betcha.
And so just to see him pledging $30 million to help the homeless in Seattle, that to me made him my choice for Better at Life than Skip Bayless.
Well, $30 million is certainly not chump change. And you're right, man. It's definitely one of the things that has struck me every time I've been to Seattle, especially the more recent trips, is the homeless situation has become a difficult one. And it's getting bad for folks. And for him to do his best to address that problem, I mean, that should help out a fair amount of folks, no doubt about it.
I also paid less than $30 million for my house.
Less than 30 mil.
Yeah.
I mean, you must live in a dump.
You could probably build a few of the houses I live in for $30 million.
Yeah. I'm trying to do the math. I think you could do 100 of my houses for $30 million.
At least.
Oh, at least. Yeah, I'm not good at math. Maybe 1,000.
I think it's probably closer to 1,000. I think you need to carry the zero one more time.
Yeah. My daughter asked me what 12 times 4 was the other day. Like we were just doing something off the top of our head. She's like, 12 times 4. And I was like, 8 times 4. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, yeah, like 12. And she looks at me, she goes, what is...
you remember, do you know what times means?
No, apparently that means add my little pea brain. I don't know. I was hungover, all right? Yeah. Like, it was hard. Sorry.
Hungover math. It's more difficult than regular math.
Right. All right. My Better at Life than Skip Bayless this week is for none other than Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch. As we all know, he is officially now a member of the Oakland Raiders. So much for that 28% chance. It is now 100% chance that he'll be a Raider, but at least there'll be no more speculation about it. He seems excited. And I guess I don't quite understand. I don't feel a strong attachment to my hometown. Kalispell's fine and all, but no way in hell I'll ever live there again. No.
Well, we don't have a professional football team either.
There's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't live there, but I've never, like Jared. Those of you who are maybe new to the show and haven't heard Jared here for a while, our good buddy, his hometown. He just moved back there. And boy, I mean, he couldn't wait to get back to his hometown. And some people feel that loyalty to that. And I think playing for the Raiders is really special to his heart. But one thing that he did do to be sure that everybody knew just how much his time in Seattle meant to him. Took out a full-page ad and in the Seattle Times, and in true beast mode style, full-page ad, that's a lot of room to write a lot of stuff. It is precisely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words plus the words beast mode. So 9 words total in his signature, a couple photos, but at the top it says, "Thank you, Paul Allen." And not only did we just talk about how awesome Paul Allen is with trying to help with the community, you better thank Paul Allen. He didn't ask for any of that money back.
Yeah, right.
And he's letting you play football again. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Allen. And then under that, thank you, 12s. And he's standing on one of the duck boats during the parade doing his Marshawn things. And just a nice gesture, classy way. When he announced it on Twitter that, catfish had gotten real, he definitely said he enjoyed his time in Seattle. I don't think he's doing it to try to hurt anybody here.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's in his heart at all. So for taking the time to really reach out to Seattle again and still having a presence there with his Beast Mode stores and all of his charities and things like that, Marshawn Lynch is better at life than Skip Bayless.
I thought when the announcement was made that the Raiders were going to move to Las Vegas, I thought it made that, in my mind, it made the percentage chance that Marshawn would come back. It raised that percent to me.
That raised it. See, that lowered it to me.
Really?
Yeah. Because
yeah, screw those
I guess
guys.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like 2 years in. What if he plays for 3 more years? Is he going to play a year in Vegas?
No, he's not playing for 3 more years.
Why not?
He'll get in his 1 year, guarantee himself that spot in the Hall of Fame. And to me, that's the important thing to me, is that if this is all it takes.
You've been on this, man. Yeah,
yes,
you've been on this.
If this is what it takes to get Marshawn Lynch as a lock in the Hall of Fame, I will take it.
Well, you didn't need to take it. He's already a lock.
Well,
so
I'm just saying, if there's a doubt in some people's mind, and this helps solidify it, like by going over 10,000 yards or whatever some made up number it takes to get into the Hall of Fame, I think he was there already. But if it takes this little extra, then I'm okay with it.
Well, best of luck to him.
Not that he's looking for my permission. I mean,
no.
He doesn't need it.
But I think there's a lot of people that felt a little betrayed, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because it's
the Raiders, so that's kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer. And for us older Seahawks fans, the idea that he's going to a former division rival does, like, the knife, that twists a little bit. Fortunately, since the division's being changed around, we don't, obviously not in the Raiders division.
Like the Chargers were never a rival. I would have been okay with him going to the Chargers.
Right. That would have felt a little better. But I do only wish him the best, though. I hope he does crush it. Just know when we meet you in the Super Bowl, I will be rooting wholeheartedly against you.
Right.
Because I think the AFC Championship game is going to be Raiders-Pats.
Well, I'm going to be rooting for the Raiders in that scenario.
Yeah, I would be too.
I'll call it right now.
Okay. All right.
And so therefore, I guess I'm rooting for the Raiders to be in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks.
Yeah, there you go. What a great story. You like those stories, Brandon. That would be the big story. And we get another media week of Marshawn Lynch.
Okay, I'm in.
That would be pretty great.
I'm in.
That'd be pretty great.
I don't care who he plays for. I'm in for another week of Marshawn Lynch during Super Bowl Media Week.
Yeah, no, that'd be worth it. Well, what a solid show, Brandon. It was really cool to be able to sit down and talk about real life stuff and to get into some of these new prospects coming into the team. Some very exciting names. No matter how you feel about this draft, whether you feel like I do, just like a little underwhelmed, just because it didn't address the needs in the way that you would, or if you're feeling more like Jared, who'd written in with his 3 reasons why he was just dead set that we're going to the Super Bowl again and excited about this draft. However you feel about it, at least this is the beginning of the end of the silly season, man.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch these guys once it gets into training camp here and to start following those stories. I think every year we've both kind of chosen one guy as kind of like our guy that we root for out of our draft class. So
are we picking that now?
I don't know. Maybe we should think on it because I didn't give any thought. This was just off the top of my head.
Okay, well, let's think on that. And another thing that we need to think on is because now that we're past the silly season, we're getting into list season, and which makes me think it's time to start forming our Seahawkers podcast, All Seahawks team. And I think we need to do that over the next few weeks, and with the input with our members of the flock, with those who listen to the show, and put that out as part of something we do in the off season this year.
Okay, so similar to the we did last year, top 10 Seahawks players you should know. This would be your all-time Seahawks team.
This would be the Seahawkers podcast, All Seahawks team. Yes.
Right. Okay, and just starters, right? No backups.
Oh, yeah.
Not first team, not second team, but
just first team.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we'll figure out a way for people to vote on that, and we'll come up with our guys to talk about over the coming months.
Sounds awesome, man. Well, I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!